Have you ever really stopped to think about what separates a good company from a truly great one? It's a question that keeps a lot of leaders up at night, for sure. But here's a wild thought. What if the biggest thing standing in the way of greatness isn't failure? What if it's actually just being good enough? Okay, let's dive right into that idea.
This really powerful idea comes from the researcher Jim Collins, and honestly, it's the core of what we're talking about today. He basically argues that comfort is the silent killer of high performance. When things are just okay, that sense of urgency you need to make the really hard decisions for a true breakthrough, it just kind of vanishes.
So we're not talking about failing companies here. Not at all. We're talking about the ones that are doing just fine. They're stable, they're profitable, but they're also a little stagnant. They've fallen into what Collins calls the good enough trap, where that comfort actually becomes a cage.
And see, this trap, it isn't some sudden crisis. It's more like a slow, quiet drift into mediocrity. Revenue is fine, customers are satisfied enough, and that burning desire to really innovate and push the boundaries, it just fades away. And that is the real danger of being good enough.
Now, Collins argues that greatness isn't about your circumstances. He really pushes back against all the usual excuses. The economy's tough, our competition is fierce, we don't have the resources. He says great organizations don't just wait around for the perfect conditions. They decide to be great, and then they back that decision up with incredibly disciplined action.
So how in the world do they do it? Well, it's not about luck, and it's not about one single brilliant idea. Collins' research uncovered a disciplined, repeatable framework, a path that companies can actually follow to get away from just being good.
At the absolute heart of his findings is this brilliant mental model, the flywheel. See, great companies don't have one big, dramatic breakthrough moment. Instead, they apply consistent, disciplined effort over a long period of time, building momentum with every single turn. This is the complete opposite of what he calls the doom loop, where companies are just frantically chasing the next big thing, always hoping for some kind of silver bullet that, let's be honest, never really comes.
And the effect is just so powerful. It starts with these small, disciplined pushes. And those pushes, they create consistent, tangible wins. Those wins build belief and get the whole team aligned, and that energy then fuels the next push. It creates this compounding momentum that eventually becomes almost unstoppable. Now, this flywheel is powered by a whole set of core principles. For example, there's the hedgehog concept, which pushes companies to find that simple, elegant intersection of what they're truly passionate about, what they can be the absolute best in the world at, and what actually drives their economic engine. Or another one, first who, then what, which is all about getting the right people on the bus before you even figure out where you're going to drive it. It's all about discipline, focus, and a really deep sense of humility.
But what if this relentless focus on discipline is only half the story? What if there's another path to greatness? Maybe one that's even more powerful.
This quote from author Marcel Schwantes introduces a totally different perspective. He's a champion of an idea called humane leadership, which basically argues that the real key to exceptional performance isn't just discipline, it's humanity.
Humane leadership pretty much flips the traditional script on its head. So instead of seeing employees as just resources to be managed for profit, it sees them as people whose well-being is the primary driver of success. The whole goal is to build this culture of trust and belonging with the belief that profit will naturally follow. So, okay, here we are with two really powerful ideas: disciplined execution on one side and humane connection on the other. Which one actually leads to greatness? It's a fascinating question, and luckily for us, there's some data we can look at to find out. So, a group of researchers decided to put these two philosophies to the test, and they used the exact same financial metrics that Jim Collins used in his original study. The results? Well, they were pretty surprising. And here it is. This is the wow moment of this whole thing. Look at this chart. Over a 10-year period, the S&P 500 averaged a 10.8% return. Collins' good to great companies, there in the middle, they did much better at 17.5%. But then on the right, the companies that were identified as having these humane, servant-led cultures, they blew them both away, returning an average of 24.2%. I mean, financially, they weren't just great, they were better than great. So the crucial point here is that these aren't mutually exclusive ideas, but they definitely have a different center of gravity. One philosophy is all about relentless execution and discipline. The other prioritizes things like trust, empowerment, and well-being as the foundation for that execution. Okay, so that brings us to right now. In this era of rapid technological change and AI everywhere, which philosophy matters more? Is it the disciplined engine or is it the human fuel? This might be the single most important takeaway for any leader right now. AI is not a magic wand. It's an amplifier. It's going to take the culture and the systems you already have and just make them exponentially faster and more powerful.
And this makes that whole good is the enemy of great argument more urgent than it has ever been. In the past, a good enough company could probably survive for decades, but today, AI gives your great competitors the tools to outpace you at a frankly terrifying speed. Good is no longer just the enemy of great, it's quickly becoming the enemy of survival.
And that's because technology just can't fix the fundamentals. AI is not going to fix a toxic culture, it's not going to create a clear mission for you or make up for bad leadership, it simply magnifies the human foundation that's already there, for better or for worse.
So it really seems like greatness isn't a choice between discipline and humanity. It's about the synthesis of both. One builds the operational engine, and the other provides the creative and emotional fuel to actually run it. So the final question for you is this. When you look at your own team or your own organization, which do you need to focus on right now? The engine or the fuel?